I walked in. I was dressed in a white button shirt. Then everyone else was wearing a tank top and shorts, so I felt a bit overdressed. I used to sit next to Tom, your roommate. We would sit on the front row, and Tom would be so full of food, he would put his backpack on the table and we would sleep. And the professor was right in front of us. I would punch his shoulder. Wake up, the professor is looking. We arrived in the morning, did some shopping.
Oh, no, that's not my style.
To be honest with you, I still find it funny. You would look at the price tag and tell me whether it's your style or no. I broke a tooth one in the gym, and they have these discs that do not have a plastic around them. I was gonna put it on the squat rack. When I pulled it up, it hit my chin, and it broke one of the teeth. This farmer had a maid in the field. I got really lost. So every Friday night, we would meet. We would play board game. At the end of the semester, it was difficult for us to trust each other. Like, that's how much we played the game.
Welcome back to college. I'm your host, Zach Stevenson, and today in the classroom we're joined by someone who came from a small town in Tunisia. This person was itching for new experiences and didn't hesitate when they got the chance to come study in the US. His sense of adventure and desire to try new things led him to discover his love for sushi amongst the rides and roller coasters in the Mall of America. You could always count on this person somehow getting even more jacked in the Elmen Center or playing soccer with his international and American friends. After his time at Augie, he finished his bachelor's degree back home, where he made the decision to keep studying and go abroad again. Calling from Vienna, Austria, where he is halfway through his PhD in economics, please enjoy the conversation with Ramzi. Ramzi Chariag, welcome back to college.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm very much excited to have a chat with you because a lot of our time we spent, it would have been 7 years ago now, because you're only there for that sort of year in 2016. So it's I'm
16, 17.
really looking forward to diving back and sort of uncovering some of those stories and your journey, because that was quite some time ago now. So I'm curious to know, you're from Tunisia, so I'm interested to know how you actually heard about Augustana in the first place.
I didn't. It was I was in an exchange program, so you apply with the embassy, and what happens is that once you get accepted, then you just sign the papers. Well, I'm participating and everything. They just let you know a place in the middle of the summer.
Right, so
Said, "Oh,
they
we're
just
sending."
picked a place for you then, and you're just like, yep,
Oh
I'll
yeah,
go there.
exactly.
That's
But
pretty cool.
yeah, I think it was a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting to go to South Dakota or I just thought that I was going to go there, but I actually liked it. It was amazing. I wouldn't change it to something else, to be honest.
Yeah, awesome. What was your drive to go on an exchange program?
I mean, I come from a relatively small town. I'd say it's like 70,000 people. I had never left the country then, and it was my first time going abroad. I wanted to, meet new people, learn new things, which is what ended up happening.
Yeah, terrific. I'm just curious to know a little bit more about Tunisia, because still to this day, you're the only person I know from Tunisia. So, where exactly is it in the world?
Well, it's in North Africa. Uh, it's right below Italy on a map. So we get the Mediterranean weather and the foods, the wine, the citrus, all of that fun stuff. Yeah,
Awesome. And you guys speak Arabic? Is that your primarily language?
yeah. But I'd say most people speak French as well.
Right,
At
okay.
some point, school just switches to French at some point. So You have to adapt.
So did you know a few languages growing up then?
Yeah, I knew Arabic and French.
What about your English?
Well, I studied that French at 8 and English at 12.
Right, okay. And then so
Yeah,
you're on this exchange program coming to the US. Once you found out you were going to Augustana, how were you feeling?
I was Googling the place. I looked at two fools. I was showing the pictures to my parents and my bro. I was really excited, you know, in part because it was my first uh, experience abroad, but mostly because I really liked how the place and I still remember my first day. Uh, so the area I'm from is really close to the desert, so the air is quite yellow. You know that Hollywood film, the Hollywood film that they have from Mexico,
All
right?
right. Yep, I'm with you.
So, so so I have that in real life. So my first day, my first day in Sioux Falls, I was just looking out the window and I called my parents. I was like, the colors are clear.
We're not living in a movie over anymore.
Yeah. I thought the yellow atmosphere was in the full, but yeah, it turns out it wasn't.
That's fascinating. What was your journey like that whole because I mean it would have been, probably a full day of transit I'm guessing to get to Sioux Falls from Tunisia
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I was also randomly selected for a security check conveniently.
in the
So
US.
yeah, in I was in Chariag in Germany and in the US as well.
Right, okay.
So I was
Randomly
selected
selected.
twice,
Yeah, that's
random.
pretty random, eh?
Yeah,
Um
very.
and then so what was it like as you were arriving to campus?
Um, I'd say it was empty because I arrived a couple days prior to most people arriving, and I was alone on the floor. My roommate never showed up, so I lived alone in a double room that year. I was in Static.
Amazing, dude. You hit
Um,
the jackpot having a single room all by yourself.
you know what? And basically, so the first day, the whole floor was empty, but there was what do they call them? The VAs, all right?
Yeah.
The VA on the floor was same Ike Knudsen. I don't know if you know the guy. He was a senior on that year. So he was the only one on the floor. So I heard noise in his room. So I went there. I knocked the door. I told them, hey, first day. I'm an ex-safe student. Uh, do you wanna hang out? And we were like, yeah, sure. He he took me to a restaurant and we just spent the day together. It was my first day.
How nice. That's that Midwest hospitality kicking in. So what was it like when some students arrived and that whole international orientation week? Can you remember much from that?
I do remember the scavenger hunt. I remember the picture we made. We used to like a pyramid or something like that. Like I don't know. Do you remember that, right?
I think we were in the same
Yeah,
orientation group, weren't we?
I think so.
I
Yes,
think
that
we
was your
were.
first year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is crazy and
yeah.
and we
I
didn't
also
we didn't necessarily connect straight away, but yeah, looking back on it now, we were in that sort of that group together. And it didn't take us long. I think it was more on the camp where we started to hang out a bit more together.
I remember when I first spoke with you. It was during the camp, and we were playing this game like with the basketball,
The Foursquare.
the
Famous
quadrant.
Foursquare.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot the name. Yeah, first one. Like every person stands in like quadrants, and we think what was it like? We had to hit each other with the ball or something
Well, yeah, I think had to bounce it in other people's squares, but that was such a fun game, and there was huge
Yeah,
lines. Everyone was lining up just to sort of have a shot to try and take the king spot, and I think we kept having the saying, "The king is here."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And
think you came up
you
with
were
that
really
one
yes, exactly.
because you're the king.
You're really good at that thing.
We used to play quite a bit of it in high school. It was good fun. But that was so much fun to
Yeah,
be on that camp and just interact with a whole bunch of students from all sorts of different countries. And just play a
yeah,
simple game together. Pretty simple, but it was such a good time.
yeah, yeah. It was cool. And then I think I saw you again often in the gym. You were roommates with Tim, was his name?
Tom,
Tom. Yes, he plays tennis.
yeah, he does. Yeah.
I see a lot of the posts.
And so that orientation, there's a photo I should bring up now. We'll see how much you remember of this. Um, but sort of describe to me what's in this photo.
Oh yeah, that was on Mount Rushmore.
And so who's in the
Um,
photo, if you can remember anyone?
I remember Phil, the guy with the plan. Um, the bald guy, Michele. I spoke a lot with him.
MQ, such a wise man.
Yeah, yeah. He could make really weird noises.
He was an awesome dude.
He yeah. Yeah, we hung out for quite some time. The girl, I think I forgot her name,
I think her name was
but
Tia from memory.
yes, yes, you're right. But yeah, we hung out for some days during the camp. We played Black Magic. You remember that?
Which one was that?
Black Magic. Basically, so you have a scheme with one person. One guy leads, and the other goes to the people. They pick an object in the room, and then when you come back, they start asking you, "Is it this? Is it that?" And then you say no up until they name the thing that they agreed about, and then you say yes, and you always get correct.
Yeah,
And
I do
it's
remember that now. I'd forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
yeah, I played that with her, with Tia.
And so did you find it easy enough to make friends in the US?
It was difficult. People socialize differently, I'd say.
In what ways?
Mm, I think people's boundaries are different. Also, uh, I'd say back home, people are more likely to approach you and ask you to join stuff. In the US, I think I have to make more effort. Like I have to be more out there and talk to people, which is what I try to do. And I mean, I was what, like 19, and it was my first time ever interacting with people from different backgrounds. So I think I learned a lot. I learned a thing or two about being in an international setting, which was the biggest takeaway from my exchange here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is difficult being thrown into a completely new environment with people from different backgrounds, plenty of Americans in there,
Yeah,
because even during that international orientation, there's still lots of American students who are sort of leaders to kind of help us settle in. But that whole, US culture is just something else.
yeah, definitely. I mean, um, I learned the hard way uh, what to do and what not to do, what to say and what not to say in different settings. So I don't know. There are maybe jokes or ways to get close to someone that would work in Tunisia, but not necessarily in the US. So I learned a bit, quite a bit socially.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it didn't seem like you had any trouble making friends. You seem to always have people that you're hanging out with. Is there any sort of first memories of maybe some of the classes you took? I mean, if you can remember, like the first class you walked into, that's always an interesting memory to bring up.
Which was, yeah, I think the first class was economics. It was macroeconomics with Nessiba. No, that wasn't the second. That was on the second term. Yes, first term was accounting. I forgot the professor. But it was an accounting course.
And what was it like going
Uh,
into that class?
it was nice. I walked in. The room wasn't very full, but something funny that I remember happening was I I was dressed in a white button shirt. Then everyone else was wearing a tank top and shorts, so I felt a bit overdressed. But
You just got
I
class.
adjusted later. Nah, I think it's a culture for us. Like when we go to uni, we dress up. So I adjusted on the first day.
That's pretty funny because as we arrive into the fall semester, it's still coming off the back of summer, so it's still really hot. And yeah,
Yeah,
people just wear, shorts, tank tops, flip flops, and just rock up to class like that.
well, yeah.
And so, what about the material itself? You didn't have any troubles understanding what was being said, or how was that experience for you?
It was okay. I could understand everything, but I'd say the difference was that at Augie they covered more material per like per semester, like per course, than they did at my university. So I felt the pace was a bit faster, which was in the beginning it was more difficult to keep up with, but eventually I adjusted, I'd say, pretty well. I had good grades, I think, was which was awesome. To be honest, it did help later on when applying for graduate school.
Yeah, good on you. And I think that's actually an important point you brought up is that because you're an exchange student, you had spent a year at university in Tunisia already. So I guess
Yeah,
you really had a bit of comparison to sort of compare what it was like university back home and college in the US.
yeah. I already had let's say like something to compare it to.
So what was the biggest difference that you found?
I'd say in my university back home, we didn't have we were not living on campus. There were a bunch of dorms, but they are scattered across the city, and the campus is in a different place. So we met less often. We had less activities that we did together. So I liked that part, the living on campus part, and the fact that most of the community was close together, and we could hang out.
I agree. That was the huge highlight for me is just having all, friends just immediately. You could just run down the corridor, knock on their door, and just start hanging out or anything you wanted to, really. It was so great to have all those people around.
Yeah. Um, Another good memory for me from that period was when we went to Mall of America. Were you on that trip?
I was. I was actually going to just bring that up because that was a pretty memorable trip for me as well, freshman year. Take
Yeah.
me through it.
Yeah. So I remember a lot of details. I remember the bus, and we played games on the bus, and it was really fun, to be honest. I By that time I hadn't gone on so many trips. Uh,
Well,
And
so just to paint the picture a little bit more for someone listening, there was a trip maybe, 3 or 4 weeks into our time at Augustana, the International Programs Office organized a trip for students to catch a bus from Sioux Falls and drive to Minneapolis, where there's the Mall of America, which is, I don't know if it is still the biggest mall in the US, but it's huge nonetheless. And so for a lot of us coming from different countries, it's just it's just so crazy to see such a big shopping complex. But yeah, we just jumped on the buses, maybe 50 international students, so we just went for a day to check it out.
and yeah, it was amazing. I made friends on the bus. I made friends during the trip. At that time, I hadn't met everyone yet. Some of them ended up being really good friends, and yeah, I'm thankful for that.
I think we did
I
spend.
still remember.
Sorry, keep going.
I still remember like the whole day. We arrived in the morning, did some shopping, and there were like even some games I think that you could play. Um, there was this one where you punch a bag or something. It better strength. I was doing that with a couple of friends.
Awesome fun. Because
It was,
Mall of America has a whole theme park in the middle of the mall, which is
yeah,
insane.
you know, yeah. Like it was it was like seeing a car inside.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I think we actually spent a little bit of time that day because I remember we were going through certain shops and we were looking. It must have been, I think it was California was the store. And I found a nice
Mhm.
knitted hoodie that I liked, and we were kind of, I don't know, we're doing this funny thing
Yes,
where
I
we're just
remember
like,
that.
oh, like
I
no,
remember
that's not
that.
my style, and oh, this one, oh, how about this one? Oh yeah, that's my style. And it seemed so like
Yes,
it was just so stupid, but for some reason we just found it like so much fun.
to be honest with you, I still find it funny. You would look at the price tag and tell me whether it's your style
Yeah,
or no.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, we'd be looking at the price tags, not so much the clothes themselves, because we're poor college students, so we don't have tons of money to spend on clothes. But oh, this is my style. No, oh, this one. Oh yeah, that $1.99. That's my style.
Oh yeah.
Good times. That was so much fun. Do
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you remember
I
anything
think
else from that
we
trip?
yeah. I remember I was going around different restaurants trying different food. And I had lunch like 5 times that day
Yeah, there's plenty of food there.
just to try. Just to try because there were a lot of things that I didn't know, like things that I had never seen. I would look at, I don't know. I still remember one bit like Tokyo chicken. What the hell is Tokyo chicken? Let me try that. That was most of my experience. I would look at something. I've never seen that. Oh, I'll get a portion of that.
Was there any food in particular that you found interesting?
Yeah, I really like the teriyaki chicken. That was that was good. I also became a big fan of sushi after my experience. It was the first time I tried it. It was in the US. So from then on, whenever I get the chance to go to a sushi place anywhere in the world,
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't know how legit the sushi is. It's probably a little bit Americanized, but
was it
nonetheless,
was
it's
it
still
very?
good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was the very first thing I've ever tried because I didn't really try it back home. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's Americanized. Even if I get it here now, it's a European version. Still, I think in some cities you can find more authentic places. But it was an introduction for me, at least.
How did you find the food overall at maybe even the cafeteria at Augustana or just in the US in general?
I'd say it was most of the dishes were take it or leave it for me. So I would try something and I would either never try it again or fall in love and spam that thing for like I don't know 2 months straight.
What about
There was
was there a favorite dish
uh,
at the cafeteria?
there was like a stir fry. Uh, what would you call it? Like a counter. So you just go there and you pick your pasta, you pick what you want to put in it and a sauce. And I had like two combos basically that I cycled through. I really liked they had the sushi bar at some point every like once or twice a week. I loved that. There was also I forgot the particular name of the dish, but every now and then they would have this rice and it had this red sauce and a shrimp vegetable mix. That was one of the favorites for me. Yeah, that
Awesome.
was whenever they had that, just loved it.
Yeah, just go back and get 3 or 4, even 5 plates if you wanted to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the cafeteria
yeah,
had some pretty decent food. Some people tend not to like it, but I mean, you obviously found your options that you enjoyed. There was actually
yeah.
there's a time I remember because we touched on the gym just before. You were I don't know if you were into lifting much before you got to college, but while you were there, I think you were in the gym just about 24/7 it seemed like.
Yeah, I went almost daily, I'd say. And we played the football as well, uh, soccer. So yeah, it was between the weight room and the football training. Uh, we didn't train much as a team, but I'd say we played around with friends often. Was Naoki was a big fan of football,
Yeah,
and
he loves his soccer.
we we played outside a lot. But when it got cold, we started playing indoors, and we we played often at some point we played once a week. It was one of the best parts of my week, to be honest. Yeah, and the weight room, the atmosphere in the weight room was actually really good. It was one of the best gyms, I'd say, in terms of atmosphere.
Yeah, it was so much fun because, and also there's people. I mean, yeah, tons of people that you know would be there regularly. All your classmates and maybe people you don't even know too much, but then you would just see them there, and it's easy place to sort of start talking to people. There's plenty of equipment for you to use. And I remember there was one time I came into the gym. I think I was coming in there with Andrew to work out, and you were in there doing
Uh-huh.
whatever lifting you were. But I remember you kind of like you pulled up your shirt to show us your abs, and you had like a 12 pack. You were completely sculpted,
Yeah.
and Andrew and I just kind of looked at each other and were like, "That's our style."
Yeah, I was quite into lifting at the time.
Well, we asked you what ab workout do you do? And I'm like, I don't work out abs. Who has time for that? And we're like, what? You don't even work out your abs, and
Yeah.
you're completely chiseled.
No, yeah, I never do. I never worked out. And I never did abs. I would just, I would just, lift. I had the 3 days lift, like push pull legs, and and I would run. I ran a lot. Uh, so yeah, I was quite sculpted.
Well,
Yes.
as we can see, I've got a little photo here with you and Dylan Kip flexing
Yeah.
at the Elmen.
Yes. That was that was a good day. Yeah, I went to gym with him for like some months.
Well, he was always in there.
It
He
was
was part of the the cheer team, and he was just the I guess I don't know if the term's correct, but the lifter in the cheer squad, where he would just be lifting up the girls. So he was always, pumping the shoulder press.
Yeah, yeah. He would tell me that he needed to be strong enough to throw the girls around.
Yeah, and also I guess we were talking about this just before we started recording, but the Elmen, our song used to play during that time. It was the Timmy trumpet song, the
Oh yeah,
and then we'd just be like whacking
yeah.
on stuff and just jamming out to it.
That song pumps you up, man. Like it just makes you wanna go more.
That was so good, so much fun in the weight
Yeah,
room. But have
yeah.
you? I think because we texted a little bit back and forth after, we sort of after you left the US. But you mentioned that you developed some shoulder tendonitis and some knee tendonitis.
Oh yeah. It's not because I was lifting too often. So I then took a break from lifting for like a year and a half, and then I started again like in 2020, I'd say, something like that. But now I do it in a more sustainable way.
Not the crazy
You
college
know,
days
and
when you're in there 24/7 just throwing any bit of iron
yeah,
around.
yeah, when you're like 19, 20, you're in the zone. And I remember I broke a tooth once in the gym.
Did you?
I was oh yeah, it was it was on a Friday night. Like I was alone and people were partying. And I was trying to pick the disc, and they have these discs that do not have a plastic around them. And I was gonna put it on the squat rack. And when I pulled it up, it hit my chin, and it broke one of the teeth,
Oh,
and it was really painful. I couldn't really. I had to drink through a straw, and it was a Friday night, so everyone like dentists were closed on Saturday and Sunday, so I had to wait till Monday to go to the dentist to fix it.
oh my
So that
God.
was not a fun week. No.
No, that sounds so painful.
Yeah, but I think afterwards, it's as if it didn't happen. Like the dental work they did was amazing.
Well, that's good. I guess, I don't know if we would have had insurance, I guess, of some sort. Because
It was fully covered. Yeah.
thank God, because the US medical bills can be huge.
Oh yeah. It was. I think it would have been a huge bill, not for the insurance. But it was fully covered because it wasn't aesthetic. It was like the whole tooth just cracked. So I had to. It was painful. So those are covered. Like, it's not as purely aesthetic. They do cover it.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. Are there any,
Yeah.
that year that you're at Augustana, are there any other moments for you that sort of stand out? Any good memories?
Um, yeah, I think we went on another trip later that year. If you remember, it was to Nebraska. You remember that?
I do, yep.
So
So similar trip, or similar to the Minneapolis trip, another bus full of international students gunned it down the highway to go check out Omaha, Nebraska for the day.
yeah, I think we walked around the city center, and there was this center with there was like a shopping center, and there was a room full of really old games, like retro games. And I remember you, me, Nauki, and a bunch of others. They're like a group of 5 or 6. We stayed in that room like longer than we should, and everyone left us. And we had to catch up.
Yeah, I
That
I
was
don't really remember that, to be honest. Was that so? Were we playing arcade games?
yeah. It was this I forgot the particular game. You drop a quarter and you just play that. And we were having fun. And then the guys went ahead. And at some point, I think I got lost. So I lost you, and then I lost them, and I couldn't find anyone. So it was like running around the whole place until I found the group.
Trying not to
I
panic.
panicked for a second. I did for a second because I let you guys play. Then I wanted to join the other group, that I couldn't find them.
And we also went to the zoo as well during that trip.
Yeah, yeah, that was amazing. There was also, you know, you guys went to an all-you-can-eat sushi place, which I didn't find.
No, you didn't make it with
Uh,
us. That's a shame.
no,
Especially now hearing
no,
about your love of sushi.
yeah, exactly. That was the bad part about that day. I couldn't find the sushi place, but I think I went to a good place regardless. It was I think a Chinese place, so that was great.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a couple of years later we actually went back to Omaha and we went to that same sushi place because it was that good. Sorry to rub it in, but I'm just making a point to have some damn good sushi down there.
Yeah, they do. I heard the stories.
So, well, just to bring it back into a little bit more of the academic side of things, what were you actually studying when you came to Augustana?
I was well, I was doing business. I was like doing a business degree. Uh, so you basically have to get intro to everything, like intro to finance, intro to accounting, economics, stuff like that. So marketing, you have to do all of the intros and then pick one thing as your major and do like 12 credits in it, I think. So that was my program back home. So I tried to pick courses that would transfer. So I picked and it was my second year, so I was still not done with the intro. So I've done intro to macroeconomics, marketing, managerial accounting. So yeah, it was mostly these things like this. But in my exchange program, we had the requirement to take an American class. Uh, so American studies it had to be something that had to do with the U.S. So for the first term, I picked the government course. It was American government. So I met people from different people in the class compared to the all of the accounting economics guys. There was a lot of overlap of people in those classes.
Yeah, different group of people. How was that class and how did you find it learning all about the American politics?
There are things that I still refer back to, still to this day, things I learned in that class. And it really did help me understand a lot about how the American government works. But the more interesting class was the American Studies class. The second, the one I picked was history of blues, jazz, and rock.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good class. I think I took that maybe the year after.
You taken it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my year, like it was on my year, it was at 1:30 p.m. So it was right after lunch. And I used to sit next to Tom, your roommate. And we would sit on the front, like the front row. And like the professor was standing like 1 meter across from us.
Oh my god.
And Tom would be like so full of food. And at some point, like he would be sleepy, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, the professor would, and I don't know, if it was the same during the time you've taken the class, but we had to watch parts of the documentary.
Yeah.
and the professor would turn off the light, and the movie would play.
And there's this poor little Vietnamese boy full of food sleeping in the
Yeah,
front row.
yes, he was like straight up asleep. Like he would put his backpack on the table and he would sleep like this. And the professor was standing like right in front of them. Professor was like right in front of them. And then I would punch his shoulder. Wake up! The professor is looking. And then the movie part would end. The professor would turn on the light, and he would like stand like this, and he would like look around with his puffy face, and the backpack traces on half of his face,
Oh
and he
my
would like
God.
look at he would like look left and right and rub his eyes, and then the professor would start speaking, and then you would lock eye contact with the professor, and the professor would be talking, and he has a soothing voice as well, and Tom would go like this.
It's still fall asleep when the professor's talking.
Yeah,
Straight to
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah. And like he would look him straight in the eye and fall asleep.
Oh my
That
God.
was
That's an epic story, and I think that really sums up Tom. Well, probably most of Tom's experience at college. I think because being my roommate, he used to stay up sort of during the night. He was kind of like, I think he was still on Vietnam time. I don't think he ever really quite adjusted to the US time. But he'd be sleeping. He'd be up playing Dota all throughout the night. And then he would always be sort of sleeping in. And I think whenever he went to class, I think every class he went to, he'd fall asleep in. And so it's funny that you're saying that like the professor would be directly talking to him, he'd still be nodding off.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It wasn't enough, and that's what like right after lunch, and we had parts where we'd watch a film with the narrator with like the most soothing voice I've ever heard in my life. That's a class designed for Tom, I think.
Yeah, that was probably one of Tom's favorite classes. Well, I enjoyed it because I got to learn all about the history of music coming into the US. That was pretty fascinating. But yeah, great class for sleeping and learning, I guess, depending what your preference is.
Yeah.
Any other memories that you have from Augustana?
Yes. The board game club. So every Friday night we would meet and we would play board games. And there are games that I picked up and I bought because of that club, and that I still have up to this day. Like I don't know how many years later. It was we first played Bang a lot. I don't know if you know the game.
No, I'm not too familiar.
It's like it's basically a card game. You know, there's some luck involved. You can be an asshole and attack people. And there was another one called the Secret Hitler, which is sort of like, well, you know, there's a minority who know each other and a majority is oblivious, and the minority has to navigate their way through without revealing their identity. And it was a really good game. But I played it so much with the same group of people. It was like 5 to 10. But at the end of the semester, it was difficult for us to trust each other. Like that's how much we played the game.
That's how much you took it
And
seriously
then,
as well.
yeah, that was we had the rule like, okay, whoever this person is that these friends of yours are during the game, that has no bearing on real life. It is not connected. It, you know,
Or is it?
if someone fucks you over like so many times in the game, doesn't mean that they are a horrible person.
That sounds like a heap of
But
fun.
yeah,
How did you find the board club or the board game club? How did you find that?
I am not sure actually how it started. It was, I think, one time I just walked into the cafeteria and I saw a group of people playing. So I just walked up there and asked them what's going on. And they told me, and I started coming every week ever since.
Oh, right. That's fantastic. Because
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there are lots of little clubs like that at Augie. You already mentioned sort of the soccer club, which was
yeah.
mainly a lot of international students, but also, yeah, obviously the board game club as well was a heap of fun.
Oh yeah,
Well, Ramsey, if you could give your experience at Augie a letter grade, what would you give it?
that's a great. I'd say an A minus.
Why would you give it that?
It was the link on basically everything. Uh, yeah, so I'd say A minus because instead of an A, because I would have loved to be in a larger city. Because I grew up in a small town, and I've always preferred a larger city because there's more going on. Because I think in Sioux Falls, whenever I went down, and I was by US standards underage at the time, so I couldn't go to bars as a 19/20. Uh, so most of what I could do outside was limited. So I went about it mostly. I also went to the cinema to watch all sorts of films. I think that year was the year I went to theaters the most.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
that is kind of the harsh reality of Sioux Falls. I mean, especially maybe during the more warmer months, there's plenty to do outside, and even just walking around is really nice. But when it gets to the middle of winter, there isn't really too much to actually do.
do you remember the corn maze?
I do. I never actually went to the corn maze though, which is pretty crazy. I did. Yeah,
That was
might have to go back and
that was amazing.
check it out. What do you remember from the corn maze?
I think it was an Augie trip as well. Again, the same bus with the same 50
Get the
international.
international students together on the bus.
Apart from you,
Where you go?
apart from you,
Apart from me, yes.
uh, and it was place right outside of Sioux Falls. It was a huge field, a really large one. I forgot like the exact measurements, but I remember it was really big.
Well, probably goes for the
And it's
whole like it probably expands the whole width of South Dakota because most of that is cornfields anyway.
yeah, and basically this farmer had a maze in the field. Like they would make. They told me that they make basically a new maze every year before harvesting all the corn, and you pay what like $5 or something like that, and you get to spend a whole day there, which we did.
Did you get lost?
Yes, of course. I got really lost. We had a scavenger hunt, and when it got darker, we had these howlets lights. It
Sounds
was
like a
was
heap
really
of
fun.
fun. Yeah. During Halloween, they actually do a special. They do some sort of special Halloween corn maze in the evening. Um, I think they might, yeah, obviously do scary, spooky stuff during that time as well. But was this
You
a
did.
Halloween time or some other time during the year?
It was around Halloween time, so I think yeah, I think it was during the spooky week.
Yeah, that sounded like a heap of fun. Was there anything
Oh yeah,
else that sort of brought your experience down from maybe from an A plus to an A minus apart from a bigger city?
well, yeah. I'd say this is more of a U.S. criticism. I remember that I had to. I was volunteering at the other side of the city. I was in this after school program for kids. I was teaching them that they were immigrant kids because between the ages of 6 and 10. I was teaching them math and English. Um, some of them didn't necessarily speak English at home, so was was good. I think that was very rewarding. But the problem that I faced was the fact that it was really difficult to get that without a cut. And as an exchange student, I signed this agreement that I wouldn't drive, I wouldn't rent a vehicle, so on and so forth. So I had to take the bus. The bus was not that frequent. And it was like uh, the only people that I saw on the bus were homeless looking. So that was not a very pleasant experience because I think the public transportation wasn't very public. It was I think it's very car based. Without a car, it's very difficult to navigate. It's difficult to walk places.
It's hard
You know,
because everything is just spread out, and yeah, the public buses, and there's no real other public transport around, so it is pretty difficult to get around, especially being an international student and only being there for a short time. You maybe don't want to be buying cars and all that other stuff.
oh yeah. So yeah, and like, compared to where I live now, like Vienna is very connected. I can feel the difference is very big. Like it impacts your daily life, I'd say, especially if you have to move around or get somewhere on a daily basis. But yeah, aside from these points, I'd say everything else was positive.
Terrific. So, well, you just mentioned that you're in Vienna now. So, did you went back to Tunisia after your time at Augustana?
Yeah, I went back, finished my degree, and then I, uh, I was working on the side, and then I applied for a scholarship for masters, and as I told you, like the grades helped. So I got a full ride, like tuition and the monthly stipend to do a master's in economics.
In Vienna.
Um, yes, so I did that, and then I ended up signing for the PhD, uh, and I'm still in that right now. And yeah, so basically, I teach like a TA session. I take courses if I want to. There are some research things going on, and I have to attend seminars and conferences. It helps you with your ideas, things, things of the sort.
That's very cool. Yeah, well done. And so, is this your first year doing the PhD?
This year is my second.
Second year. Oh, second already. Geez,
Really?
getting through them. So it would
Yeah,
have been 2020. What? When did you graduate from grad school then?
uh, 2022.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so
Yeah,
last year and a half ago almost.
yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how did you find grad school in Vienna?
In the school was difficult. The city is awesome. It's amazing. Uh, uh, there's always something happening. As a it's a very it's a cultural center. I'd say there's a lot of art and museums and all sorts of cultural activities going on. The opera there is pretty nice. They're famous, and I learned that they are famous for a reason, and that is that they are good. The city itself is pretty international. You you see people from all over the planet, to be honest, and the region as well, Central Europe.
Sounds fabulous. Sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, you meet all sorts of people.
So I guess that made it a bit easier to decide to continue on with a PhD then, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Living in Vienna is an amazing experience.
And so how many years of PhD have you got left?
I mean, hopefully too. If I if I do everything right, I'd say. But it depends. Like they don't find you whenever you submit a finished thesis, you're fine. So yeah, but they do give you funding, like a stipend, a hefty one. I mean, it's hefty for a stipend, but it's not good enough to be considered a real salary. But they do pay you for teaching, and that's good. So you can make a decent enough salary. What you would make outside. Um, so, but you have the PhD stipend only for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I either have to finish by then or
Run out of money.
work on the side. Yeah, I mean I'm already working on the side. I'm doing this part-time consulting at the World Bank here in Vienna. So that's I mean I could still keep doing that. But yeah, the main the idea that I should finish by the 4th year.
So what are you doing your thesis on?
It's in theoretical econometrics. So I'm looking into like multi-dimensional panel data models. It's a pretty particular thing.
Sounds super complicated, but I've no doubt that you're doing a great job with it all. So well done. Keep up the
I
good
hope
work.
so. Thank you.
Is there, before we sort of tie it off, is there any advice that you would give someone, Ramzi, who's considering doing an exchange and studying in the US?
Yeah, it's to not be afraid to approach people. 'Cause that was a thing for me in the beginning. It was very difficult for me to approach groups of people and to join them on things. But as I told you, people socialize differently in Tunisia compared to the US. In the US, I found that I had to be more proactive socially. So I'd say my advice would be that to be more socially proactive.
Terrific. That's excellent advice. Ramzi, thank you so much for coming back to college with me.
Thank you.